Greetings, families. Welcome back once again. I hope you are well. I hope your day is good. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. This news is coming from the New World TV. It's a debate on the AES roadmap. And I'm sure I'll be sharing the original video before this one because they have shared a bit of this roadmap with us on our TV news. So yes, as always, our brothers can go into details and share their experiences, what they are expecting. And then at the end, some citizens across the globe will call in and also share their ideas, ask questions as well. This is the 5th time or 6th time I'm sharing something like this, so you know how it is. Please, before, let's listen to the AES achievement in the 2 years. So we can look at the new roadmap that President-Captain Ibrahim Traore has drafted to his brothers, General Abdurrahmane Tiani, General Assimi Goïta. Please watch and listen to the New World TV. I'll be back. Credit to them.
On February 24th and 25th, 2020, it was Ouagadougou. A decisive page in the history of the Sahel was written. Behind closed doors, the leaders of the Alliance of Sahel states approved one of their roadmaps. While the exact content of this document remains sealed for now, the ambition behind it is clear: to transform a circumstantial defense pact into a robust and lasting confederation. After a first year marked by dramatic diplomatic ruptures and security challenges not yet fully under control, the AES is now entering the era of construction. But between the rhetoric of sovereignty and the daily reality of the people, questions remain. What vital priorities must be included in this confidential agenda? Is the dream of a common currency and an integrated economic area within reach? And finally, what are the chances and conditions for the success of this confederation project in the face of global geopolitical pressures? For 90 minutes, we will shed light on the stakes of this phase 2 of the AES. With our guests in the studio, we will analyze, break down, and anticipate what the AES of tomorrow will be. With us, Didier Nourdine Alou. My dear Didier, good morning.
Hello, Gilles. Hello to all viewers and welcome.
Nidia Laway, journalist, communication consultant for social behavior change, and then general manager of the Structure Africa Development in about.Africa Dev. Beside him, the man who does not move, who has not moved today either, His Excellence Sago Yukejewe. Good morning.
Good morning, Gilles. Good morning to the viewers and happy Sunday to everyone.
You are a journalist by profession, former ambassador of Togo, notably in Germany and Burkina Faso. Big surprise in year 2 of the AES roadmap. That's the theme. As usual, you are invited to enrich this program with your contributions, mainly via WhatsApp +228 96 08 43 43. Write to us. Also comment on this program on social media where we are broadcast live. Our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Like this program to support it and subscribe. For those who haven't done so yet, and now to begin, we are going to do a quick review of the first year of the AES. Didier Alou, year 1 was about survival and breaking away after the withdrawal from ECOWAS and the signing of the Defense Pact. What is the founding act that gives credibility today to the second year of the AES?
First, before talking about the founding act that would give credibility to year 2, we must first examine what already exists. We need to first look at the roadmap for year 1. What has been accomplished and what needs to be strengthened. So remember that one of the main objectives of year 1 was to establish a collective defense through the Liptako-Gourma Charter, which contains 17 articles, with an intensified fight against terrorism and organized crime, as well as assistance in the event of aggression. Any attack against a member is therefore considered an act of aggression, with all prioritizing sovereignty and territorial integrity. So, what has been achieved that we can cite today as accomplishments? Obviously, it is the definitive and formal withdrawal from ECOWAS, but with continued membership in UEMOA for now to mitigate economic shocks. There is also the establishment of a truly unified force to counter terrorist threats, We have the initiative at the July 2024 summit, where we witnessed the launch of a biometric passport as well as an investment bank, which was also launched recently, along with a stabilization fund and the launch of specialized media outlets. Thus, as you have surely noticed, we have seen a diversification of international partners. In particular, we have witnessed a kind of pivot toward Asia, the Middle East, and Russia, as well as the elimination of roaming fees to promote connectivity. I believe that all of this consists of actions that were planned in the Year 1 roadmap and that have indeed been carried out. Now, what needs to be done for Year 2, while waiting to unveil the roadmap, is to consolidate these achievements and properly establish the institutional foundation of the AES, as well as the Confederation, and to deepen the implementation of the 3Ds. You know that the Charter itself is based on the 3Ds, which are defense and security, coordinated diplomacy, as well as economic development. So I think that in Year 2, we will see a strengthening of security and defense through increased and enhanced pooling of resources. The capabilities of the unified force, which must be better funded and better equipped to ramp up its power. And then the AES must strengthen and further promote the media that have been created for the AES, and the Confederation Bank must deliver results in this second roadmap. We must also see, of course, a deepening of coordinated diplomacy. I believe that Year 2 will above all mark the consolidation, both institutionally and operationally, of the instruments that have been created.
Your Excellency Ogoyu Koguyu, for you, the AES, in light of the AES's track record, has the first year gotten off to a good start? The AES has gotten off to a perfectly good start. There is absolutely nothing to criticize. Because if in just 1 year, what Nuruddin has just listed was accomplished, if people have done all that in a year, imagine what they could do in 2, 3, 4, or 5 years. We've seen other associations, other regional and sub-regional organizations that have existed for more than 20, 30, 40, or even 50 years. We've seen what they've accomplished. If just 3 countries have managed to achieve what they have in only 1 year, I believe the AES is on a better path than they are. But the problem, as he mentioned, is that everywhere economically there are breakthroughs. Truly significant and commendable, but the core issue will always remain security. Because as long as security isn't ensured, economic development will, let's say, be hindered. And given that today they are at the point, or rather they've already pooled their defense with a force of 5,000 men, I believe, a force of 5,000 men. 6,000 or more. Sorry?
5,000 stated, but reinforced now 6,000.
6,000. I think that a force of 6,000 men is significant, not counting the individual armies of each country. The IS is currently equipping itself with the military means to defend its sovereignty, to defend its economy, to defend everything that will contribute to the development and fulfillment of its population. I believe they are more than able to answer your question. They are more than on the right track.
Thank you so much, families, for listening to that part of the debate. Their military achievement, diplomatic achievement, and more. We have documented a lot on this channel, and even the latest summit that they went, the radio station, and many, many more. But this new roadmap, according to them, they've hide it. The first one, they told us what was in it, but now they hide it. I don't think they hide it, but as we know they do. The rest, or the 2 presidents, has to approve going through it and many more before they can tell us. And even if they don't tell us, it's okay. It should be their secret. They don't want the world to know what is going on. Anyway, the debate continues. Please listen to more, and I'll be back.
So, and why, in your opinion, does the content of this Year 2 roadmap remain confidential? Is this a defense secrecy strategy or a need for technical adjustments?
No, for Year 1, the roadmap was made public and distributed. But that was the first year. It was just the beginning. You know that the beginning of anything, the way it happened is that Mali held the presidency So, Mali suggested a roadmap that the three countries worked on together. But after the meetings that took place in Ouagadougou at the end of February, just a few days ago, I think this time the Burkinabe presidency chose to send this roadmap to the other two countries for amendments. I know that at the Prime Minister's office in Niger, there was a meeting. Experts, along with the relevant ministers, studied, analyzed, and made recommendations. Mali did the same thing. So there will be a summary meeting to incorporate and include all these amendments and recommendations. So it's not that the roadmap is secret. A roadmap is known to everyone. So there really isn't, it's not a strategy of secrecy, but rather to improve things. And this reflects the democracy that exists among these three countries. That is to say, the countries think together, make proposals, and study them. And that's why the effectiveness in the functioning of the AES, which the ambassador mentioned earlier, that's what gives it meaning. That's exactly what makes the actions better coordinated and better thought out. Because it's a collective effort. A collective effort. It's not simply imposed, but rather thought through together. It's a laboratory of ideas. So I believe that from this point on, next week, the roadmap will certainly be published and made known to everyone.
In any case, they have a reason to remain discreet because the accumulation of their meteoric success, both individually in each of the three states and collectively as the three states together, arouses so much jealousy that the sponsors of the terrorists, every time a success is announced in one of the countries, the sponsors of the terrorists become even more hysterical, more vicious, and they send even more terrorists to disrupt them. I think that sometimes they have to act like a stealth aircraft. That is, they turn off the transponder and then they fly. And we'll see the results. If every time they triumphantly announce their success, well, we are Africans. You know what an African's jealousy is capable of when faced with his brother's success. So whether in a few days or weeks, the plan is put on the table and made available to everyone or not, the main thing is that it remains effective and that the work gets done according to the program these three countries have set for themselves, for their people.
While we wait for the contents of this roadmap to be revealed, let's do a forward-looking analysis of what, in your view, should be the priorities for year 2. I'd like to start with the security challenge. Didier Allo, has the pooling of forces shown any concrete results in the first year? Should the priority for year 2 be the creation of a permanent confederal army or the strengthening of intelligence services?
On the first part of your question, we need to take a closer look at the effectiveness of the fight against terrorism in the Sahel, contrary to the narratives emerging in certain media sectors that we are familiar with and whose objectives are clear. And remember that at the creation of the AES, apart from Niger, the other two countries had not yet achieved full national coverage. That is to say, for Mali, for example, you had Kidal, which was not under state control. Today, that has been accomplished, and it is something to be commended. If you take Burkina Faso, at the time when the AES had not yet been created, national coverage was around 75, and today it is much less. You could say, and I'll grant you that, today we are at nearly 85, even 90%. So these are efforts that should be acknowledged and credited to the leaders of the AES, but also to the unified force that has started to deliver results. The unified force of the AES, you're asking whether it should be made even more confederal. I believe that's the gist of your question. Well, the unified force of the AES with its 6,000 men as it currently operates is already a confederal force because it's the three countries that who have combined their forces and have a single general staff, one general staff for all 6,000 men. And the general staff is based in Niamey. With the general staff based in Niamey, it is led by a Burkinabe colonel. And in addition to that, if you look at the equipment and operations, the funding for this general staff comes from all three countries. And don't forget that in all three AES countries have created a National Solidarity Fund, which is financed with their own resources. It's the citizens themselves who contribute. This is called the war effort. It's important to really see what's happening in the Sahel. It's an example to follow. Every civil servant from every monthly salary has a percentage deducted at the source and paid directly into this fund. And this fund in each country then transfers money to this force. So it's the Sahelian citizens themselves who are financing this unified force with their own resources. The war effort comes directly from the citizens' own pockets. First, and then the equipment, the training, all of that is sought out with the partners we know. So the unified force is already confederal. But in the second phase, in the year 2 roadmap, we need to find it even more resources. And as I said in the introduction, this force also needs to be strengthened, and indeed we need to allocate a bigger budget. But the other challenge, you mentioned intelligence, and you are right. But the challenge today for the AES countries is securing the external borders of these countries. The external borders are the borders that each AES country shares with countries that are not members. There are 2 types of borders for the AES. The internal borders, for example, the border between Burkina Faso and Niger, is considered an internal border. When you look at the border between Niger and Benin, that is an external border. So as far as internal borders are concerned within the AES, security is already well under control. The challenge now lies with the external borders, meaning the borders with countries that are not members of the Union, such as between Mali and Algeria, for example, or between Burkina Faso and Côte d'Ivoire, or between Niger and Benin. So these borders still need to be reinforced. And that's why when you talk about intelligence, you are absolutely right. So the force, in my opinion, is already confederal, but it needs to be further equipped so that it can gain strength, and intelligence and monitoring also need to be reinforced.
Thank you so much, families, for listening to that one as well. Well, first time I've heard the military themselves are contributing towards the equipment. I know through Patriotic Fund, they have been contributing. I mean, just last week, I've shared one video that they've got about 6 billion in Burkina Faso alone. But the AES military, they are also deducting a bit of money from their salaries to add to the Patriotic Fund that they will buy equipment for the AES, not individual countries. Next one is about ECOWAS troops that are getting ready to be standby. Okay, AES also have their troops ready to be standby, but are they going to emerge to fight the terrorists, or are they going to fight them separately? Please listen to the experienced men share the idea about this. I'll be back. But before then, don't forget to leave your comment as well. What you have heard and what you're about to hear. Leave comment what you are thinking, your thought on this. Because here you cannot call to ask questions or to share your thought. So leave message or comment for us. Or
strength and intelligence and monitoring also need to be reinforced.
Excellent, Sogoyu Kegero. At the same time, ECOWAS in Sierra Leone is announcing the eventual establishment of its standby force. With a force of 2,000 men, do you think that the ECOWAS force could be complementary to the 5,000 to 6,000 men of the AES to finally drive them out for good? To drive terrorism out of our borders?
If I were to use diplomatic language, I would say yes. But we can't use diplomatic language here because ECOWAS's purpose is to support the external interests of NATO. To oppress the sovereignist African populations in the Sahel, how could their forces possibly be complementary? I wouldn't be surprised if those 2,000 men were tasked tomorrow with attacking the peoples of the Sahel. Because that's the external interest that drives and guides ECOWAS. That being said, if ECOWAS really wanted to fight against the terrorists, I'm not a soldier. I'm not a security expert, but still, I have enough common sense to know that 2,000 men for such a vast area, even if the exit of the 3 Sahel countries leaves ECOWAS with just a small coastal strip, we can agree that 2,000 men is a joke. So that means that ECOWAS isn't even aware of the dangers posed by the issue of terrorists. 2,000 men to go where? Even in terms of territory, there's still a sizable area left. And population-wise, Nigeria alone, you know it has at least 240 million inhabitants. I'm not even mentioning the other countries, which population-wise are not insignificant either. With all that, you can't form a real army, and yet they only choose 2,000 men. Well, you know very well it's not to fight terrorists. It would be to see how to fight black people who dare to want to free themselves from the whites. So the ECOWAS troops will never, under any circumstances, be complementary to the AES troops. If the future proves me wrong, so much the better. I would be the happiest to see tomorrow the AES troops and the ECOWAS troops working together. Against whom? They can't work against terrorism because ECOWAS has made a clear choice for terrorism, giving absolute and visible support to terrorism. Every time ECOWAS makes threats, it's to attack countries that are fighting against terrorists. If you've ever heard ECOWAS threaten the terrorists, well, please refresh my memory. That has never happened, and it's not going to happen anytime soon. So it's pathetic. Look at what's happening in the world today. All the peoples of the world come together to be strong and defend their interests. And then you come here among black people, and you see people who measure their worth by how much a little white man loves them. Oh, that little white man over there adores me. So it's fine if terrorists kill my people. It's not a problem. That's the CEDAW.
Thank you so much for listening up to this stage. The next question is always the elephant in the room. It's about the currency. Are they going to print it? Are they not going to have it? We have been asking for some time now, but it's a big thing. So they need to take their time to get it right and not to get it wrong. As our brother will explain, you will laugh the way he put it. Oh my goodness. Please listen to him and I'll be back.
Many are wondering what place economic independence would occupy in the AES's AN2 roadmap. There is much talk about a common currency or abandoning the CFA franc. Didier, is this a realistic project for 2026 or a premature priority?
Before answering that question, allow me to agree with the ambassador on the previous question. ECOWAS has 450 million inhabitants with an area covering a vast total area of nearly 2.4 million square kilometers. And ECOWAS is assembling an army, we don't even know how it works, of 2,000 men. Now, the Sahel has 80 million inhabitants, individuals and community members who are currently in possession of or have already acquired the necessary materials and resources that we have been discussing throughout this session.
Right over there.
They will certainly look for ways to exploit it. This leads us to question what is currently happening at the ECOWAS regional level. Is there really a genuine collective will among the member states to effectively and decisively fight against the rising tide of terrorism that is threatening the stability of the entire area? This morning, we're not going to go back over the fact that ECOWAS has become an instrument in the hands of imperialists. Everyone knows that. We've often hammered it home on this set. To return to your question, the issue of currency is a central one. It's true that there isn't complete sovereignty if there is no monetary sovereignty. Today, everyone, all Africans know it. The CFA franc is a colonial currency that has been in use since 1945. That's 81 years now. But we also now know that this CFA franc has something to do with underdevelopment. All the countries that use the CFA franc have not managed to get out of the rut. That, and many experts say so, there are several reasons for this underdevelopment, but the role of the CFA franc is significant. But at the same time, we must remember that creating a currency is not something you do on a whim. It requires perspective. It requires strategies and a high level of technical expertise in the field. Don't forget that what the AES is already doing, this break with the imperialists, is already putting a lot of pressure on them. So they are not going to rush into creating a currency right away, even though behind the scenes, this issue is at the heart of debates and serious discussions. For now, the AES has chosen not to make its work on this matter public. This is a central issue, and the AES countries know it and are fully aware of it. You can't achieve full sovereignty without monetary sovereignty. The AES countries have everything they need to create a currency. All three countries are gold producers. All three countries are rich in minerals. Niger has uranium, which is a commodity of the future.
So, will the currency become a reality in 2026?
Will the currency become a reality in 2026? I don't think that in 2026 the AES will be able to issue its own currency, even though it's a question that is being seriously studied and worked on behind the scenes.
I think we need to give the AES experts time to study the currency issue, and when they decide to create a currency, they should make it a real currency. Because you talk about the CFA, how many times do you want us to repeat that the CFA is not a currency? It doesn't exist anywhere. You have to go first. Go to Paris. Why me? I was going to send you to the Asian countries where trade is done today with CFA. No one knows it in France. Go with CFA. In any shop in the neighborhood or bank, no one knows it.
Furthermore,
it's made over there. So the CFA isn't a currency, but rather a scam, a slave trading trick for the endless, unchecked exploitation of black people. But the most cynical thing about this whole affair is that it's not an invention. This trick to rob people is not a French invention. It was the Germans who, during the Second World War, set up a system just as villainous, just as cruel, just as wicked to rob the French. So they created the currency exactly like what the CFA is today. And France, in the most legitimate way possible, got rid of it at the first opportunity. Even the Americans, after the Normandy landings, when France, let's say, regained its sovereignty, the Americans also rushed in. They created some kind of currency to come and impose it. De Gaulle banged his fist on the table and said, that will not happen here. That's what makes de Gaulle a great man. It's not his 2 meters of height, no. He is a great man. He refused. So everything that was systematically, automatically, instinctively rejected by France, de Gaulle came and implemented that in Africa. And they started bleeding black people with a cynical pleasure, every year ranking them among the poorest countries. And we walk around with a real shame that we call endo-development. So the CFA is not a currency. Today, if we are lucky, Francophone African countries will own a currency. And we need to give them time to study the feasibility of this currency and to create a currency that makes other African countries want to do the same. Because if they create a currency that falls apart, how can I put it, that falls to pieces, it will discourage the others. So they are going to make a currency. They have everything they need to make a currency. From the moment a country like Gambia, you can imagine, has its own currency. The Gambia, the little finger, as I say every day in the Anis of Senegal, it has its currency.
Yes, but Gambia is not out of the woods either.
No, and we didn't say, wait, I hear that kind of reasoning. I think you are sad, you are cynical. Even those people who impose their currency on us, the slavers, they have their own currency over there. Have they gotten out of the woods? Aren't they the ones breaking records for debt, records for unemployment, records for poverty, records for famine today? It's not them. But they are sovereign in their own countries. They organize themselves however they want. Let us organize ourselves, because when people say such and such country has its own currency, but things aren't any better, well, that's fine. It's their currency. It's their currency. Can I come to your house? Gilles, what if I go ask your wife, hey, are you satisfied with your husband? If she says no, I say, all right, I'll take her. And then when you speak, I say, but Gilles, you had a wife. What was the point of that? No, your wife is your wife. I don't have the right. Just because she's happy or not happy doesn't mean I can come and take her from you. Our currency is our currency. It's not because we have economic difficulties that someone can say, no, you black people, stay over there. We'll make you cabbage leaf money in Chamalière. No, the Chamalière printing house is a giant scam that has lasted for centuries.
Another question is, can AES build a stronger economy? Concerning Faso Mebo and everything, when I was in Burkina Faso, they asked me the same question when I was interviewed. Do I think that Faso Mebo is a good idea, the presidential initiative? Yes, of course. It is very important, and it's not only Burkina Faso doing it. I said that several times. Mali is doing it. Niger is doing it. Just they are not putting spotlight on it like Burkina Faso, and maybe it's not also that big, because I've shared a video that ministers in Mali went out also to clean the street and pavement and everything. According to them, every month they have to go out and work, develop the country physically. Set an example as well. I've shared one or two here. So I think Malian one is called beautification of the neighborhood competition. Yes. So they are also doing this. And I was saying that they should not beautify one country so the rest will be running to the other, or there will be jealousy between them. So that's what they are discussing, or they have discussed now. Families, can AES economically be strong? We all know they will be strong, but please listen to more. I'll be back.
And we need to put an end to this as quickly as possible.
We are going to sign. We're going to move forward. Another chapter. I would like us to analyze the chances of lasting success for the AES, considering the obstacles that various parties are putting in its way. First, the AES, which has turned to new partners, such as Russia, China, Turkey, to name just a few. Is this shift enough to make up for the break with Western and regional partners?
Well, Gil Boko, you're asking a question that is often asked by the colonized in Ducey who refuse to decolonize. But you talk about making up for the partnership with the West as if we had gained something from that partnership. But what have we gained since our country started cooperating with the West? What have we actually gained from it? Nothing but misery and underdevelopment. And you talk about compensation. But what compensation? There's nothing to be done with these people. And the AES countries have taken responsibility for themselves. We're only on the second roadmap and people are already in a hurry. But what we've spent decades doing, in some countries it's been 65, 66, 67 years of dependence, and yet here we still are. So I think yesterday there was no need to talk about compensation. There's nothing to compensate because on the other side there's nothing. And remember, if you want, we can take a typical example. It's the fight against terrorism. All the Western and NATO armies were in Mali, and yet terrorism still advanced. The Malians had to drive out these occupying armies just to be able to access Kidal in their own country. Is that what you want us to make up for? With what? If you look at the economies of our countries, if you look at the partnerships around the exploitation of our mines, what have we gained, for example, in the case of Niger? Uranium is sold for 115,000 per kilo on the international market. Orano, the French company, was buying it up until 2022, 2023 for 45,000 francs. At first, they were buying it for 2,000 or 3,000. Really be looking at a price point of 10 euros. This is especially relevant when we consider that sales figures are consistently high for popular titles like Big Bass Bonanza and Big Bass Splash. If we look ahead into the future, perhaps in 10 years or even in 15 years or even as far as 20 years from now, we will finally be able to see exactly what kind of long-term results we are going to get from these market trends.
Excellent. I've never heard in the AIS program, granted I don't know everything, but from what I do know, I've never heard that AIS had the ambition or the plan to break away. With their former partners, no, they've never said, well, we don't want this solution, we don't want that. No, they're open, countries open to working and living with everyone.
According to certain conditions.
Now, if in addition to the former partners, they also go to see the Chinese, the Turks, first the Turks. They are members of NATO and they go to see the Chinese, the Turks, the South Koreans. Because when we talk about Korea, it's not North Korea. Our countries do business with South Korea. Well, if they go to see them, it's up to the former partners to ask themselves, but actually what went wrong? We were with you. We were happy, were not we? What went wrong? Why are you going to the Russians? You told us that the Russians have no weapons, that they have old hunting rifles from the 1800s. Those, the rifles they used to hunt with. Napoleon, that's what they still have. Why are you going to them? But, so it's up to those people to ask themselves some questions. Otherwise, AIS wants to work with everyone. I've heard that there are delegations starting to go to AIS countries with the intention, I suppose, of changing their tune. Oh, so now you're ready to work with us on new terms. That means you yourselves knew that your original terms weren't even real terms. It was nonsense. It was theft. It was fraud. It was contempt. It was negrophobia. You know that. And now you come and say, all right, if you change, you really want to work with us. Like you work with the Chinese, like you work with the Thai, the Vietnamese, the Americans, the Canadians. We are all human beings. We work together. But if you come to us because you think you've arrived in a monkey enclosure, it won't work. The same causes will produce the same effects. We would leave you with your bananas that you use to deceive us, to go do business with people who are ready to bring us something. Technology, nuclear power plants for energy, vehicles, construction equipment for the development of our countries, that's all. The bananas, keep them for yourselves, eat them yourselves, your monkey bananas. You're not monkeys, but you can eat them. Go ahead.
The legitimacy of the AES, let's say, relies heavily on popular support, patriotic support. But how do you keep that flame alive? What if by chance? In some of these countries, economic dividends, such as the cost of living or employment, are slow to materialize, says Diallo.
But I don't know if you know of any country where youth employment or mass employment is not a challenge. The ambassador reminded us of this once again just a moment ago. Even the countries that call themselves the most developed are facing debt and are confronted with the serious problem of unemployment among the youth. It's true that in the long run, the economy is what matters. But can we build a solid and prosperous economy in an environment that is not secure? For now, the priority for the AES countries is to secure their territory. And you know there are many entities that do not make their task any easier at all. But I think that the AES is working to strengthen the economic fabric to work towards development. If you take Burkina, we won't go back over that. You've seen, you're coming back. I'll reveal a secret. You've just come straight from Ouagadougou. And earlier, before this show started, you told me that in Ouagadougou, really, things are moving, that are changing. And it's the same for Niger. Niger has always suffered from food shortages. But today, with the major irrigation project, you've seen that food self-sufficiency, the deficit is being made up. So it takes time. And what will allow these countries to stay on course and maintain popular support is, first of all, communication. So leaders need to communicate more with the population, explain the issues to them, and raise their awareness to be more patriotic. They are already patriotic, but patriotism among the people needs to be strengthened. And also the leaders must govern very well, because the problem in Africa is the problem of a lack of social justice, is the problem of corruption. So those countries really need to strengthen these efforts. And it is my firm belief that, in general, when people see that there isn't an excessive amount of corruption and that social justice is actively being upheld, I believe they are very willing to support these initiatives and participate. So I believe these are the levers that the AES can rely on.
Gilles, I know you're asking these questions to get our thoughts. Which country in the AES would be envied? Which ECOWAS country would regret being a member of the AES? Which country in the AES, like he said, the uranium that was wanted in Niger? Even the head of the Sicilian or Calabrian mafia would never have agreed to take Nigerian uranium at that price. The mafia boss would think it's not a good deal. That on a human level, it's unacceptable. But it was taken like that and no one said anything. Why did he talk about corruption? Because there were Nigerians who played along and filled their bank accounts over there in their country, over there in the Gulf countries where people thought security was guaranteed 1,000%. I'm surprised to learn since yesterday that bombs are falling everywhere in these countries we consider to be paradises. So because there was corruption, others took advantage and collected uranium for free. Today, uranium belongs to Nigerians, oil belongs to Nigerians, and many other mineral resources belong to Nigerians. What Nigerian would be crazy enough seeing all these riches coming in, as he says, if they are well managed in everyone's interest, to envy any ECOWAS country? Do you know of one we could envy? What normal, logical Burkinabe, since you're from Ouaga, what normal, logical Burkinabe would go see what you saw? Highways with 4 lanes, how many? 4 times 2 or 3 times 2, stretching over more than 300 kilometers. Can you tell me which ECOWAS country is doing the same thing? There are people who have built 2-lane highways for barely 30 or 40 kilometers, and they proclaim themselves international champions of development. They won the Nobel Prize for Development for a 2-lane highway that's barely 40 kilometers long. So I'm in a country where we're building 3 or 4-lane highways over 330 kilometers, and I'm supposed to envy someone else? Why? You go to Mali during the Mali situation, didn't you see President Assimi Goïta renegotiate the Barrick Gold contract? The extremely stubborn contractor who thought he was still dealing with Africans from 30 years ago tried to resist, but he got his knuckles rapped and he paid up. So these countries are gathering their resources to develop their nations for the well-being of their people. Tell me, how can people who see this now feel envious? Envious of whom? Give me a single country in this sub-region here. Which one would it be? You'd have to be completely out of your mind for a Burkinabe to envy them. Those countries. Mali, haven't you heard about all the major social housing projects that Assimi Goïta is carrying out in Kuluba? You've never heard about that? This internationally acclaimed development program? But what's really there? Are you going to envy them? Why? So you need to let all that go. These countries know they have a future. Their people, especially their youth. They know they have a future. It's up to the leaders to know how to explain to young people what's happening, to show them the prospects. Those who are in power today, listen, what is power really? We come and we go. Young people need to understand that those who are here today, in 30 or 40 years, they won't be here anymore. And it's the young people who are in school today, in primary school, it's up to them to take over. So if you give them all these prospects, there's no reason to envy other countries, where the only happiness is being friends with the white man.
One last question to close this first part of the New World Forum. Didier Nourdine Allo, OUS, if you had just one recommendation to submit to the AES Secretariat for the year 2026, what would that recommendation be?
It would be to stay the course, to continue securing the area. Because there is a narrative that comes up often, and that weak-minded people let themselves get carried away by this issue. Because it's not uncommon to hear in certain media, some Africans in particular say, they took power for security reasons, and now security is not being handled not properly. But do they know? Do they know the amount of pressure these countries face every day? Do they know the conspiracy that is orchestrated against these countries every day? So I believe that the AES countries must stay the course. It's a balancing act. It's not easy. It's easier said than done. Because at the same time, you have to allocate nearly half of the budget to security while also pursuing development in a context of limited resources. So it's not easy at all, but you still have to keep moving forward.
Excellent.
Yes, but as he says, you have to keep the people engaged. That is to say, you have to avoid letting a certain weariness set in. People have set goals for themselves. You have to keep the people engaged, explain things to them, and at every moment, show them where we're headed and communicate intelligently. Gilles, sometimes it's better not to communicate at all than to put fools in charge of so-called communication. Because when, for the sake of communication, you hire people who insult others, you're not communicating. You're doing the opposite of communication. So they just need to really engage in intelligent communication. Communication that doesn't attack or insult anyone, but instead shows their people the prospects that await them if they truly manage to stay united and work together. That's all. There you have it.
We have now reached the end of the first part of this level of the forum. But for the second part, it's you who will lead it through WhatsApp, mainly at the number 128 96 08 43 43. Write to us whether you agree with us or not. Don't forget as well the social networks that share our content, our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Yes, I'm being told we still have 2 more minutes. Maybe just enough time to ask Didier Noureddin Alou. Honestly, you mentioned the case of Burkina Faso, but for the other 2 AES countries, Mali and Niger, is the progress happening at the same pace?
No, first of all, within the countries, the challenges are not the same, the resources to work with are not the same, and neither are the leadership or management. They are not the same. These are not the same populations, and the areas that immediately need infrastructure are not exactly the same either. So the countries were not left behind. The presidents of the AES did not inherit countries with harmonious development. I gave you the security example, for instance, of Burkina Faso, where there is still work to be done to take charge of the entire territory. In the nation of Niger, the country has not ceded any part of its sovereign territory to the threat of jihadism. However, there are many other truly enormous and complex challenges that still remain to be addressed today. So I think that each country is progressing at its own pace, and despite that, it is necessary to find a balance within the Confederation to boost development and security in every territory.
At one point, this country thought it could rely on Chad, but lately it seems like there has been some backpedaling, and now it has become more of a challenge to manage.
Yes, I don't want to speculate too much about the new situation in Chad, but in reality, it doesn't surprise us, since the kingmaker, the one who went to enthrone him, I don't see how he could completely turn his back on him. So from time to time, there are lingering, let's say, lingering feelings of gratitude. And we always return to the source where we first drank. But there's no reason to be disappointed. The leadership knows when you have such a vast country, the leadership knows what to expect. And it knows where or who can help defend its country.
There you have it. We've finished with the appendix of this program. Now a break. We'll be back in 10 minutes for the second part of the UMonde Forum.
Of course, AES countries will be strong. They are strong already. They are doing everything that they can to build a stronger economy, stronger people, stronger youth, and everything. I just remember patriotic citizenship. They have done another one again. Huge amount, over 5,000 in Burkina Faso. These children are our future, and we have to build them properly to stand firm with what is going on in the world now. Even before that, our leaders are sleeping. They are relying on other people that also are relying on other people. Am I making sense here? Sometimes it shocks me. It shocks me how Africa leaders operate. So yes, they are strong, and the future children will be strong. And now children will be strong as well, because they can tell. They were the people who went on the street to demonstrate, to protest against any destabilization, and also support their leaders. The rest is about the questions that people will be asking. Families, please listen, and I'll be back. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for staying loyal to us. This is the second part of New World Forum. Today we are talking about the roadmap of the Alliance of Sahel States, a 2-part roadmap. On the set, Didier Noureddin Alou. Thank you for staying with us on the set to comment on the viewers' contributions, which have been sent to us. I'll start right away with Italy, with Ballo from Milan. Hello to everyone on the set. Hello, Gilas and everyone. We are at a difficult turning point. The AES must have year 2 strategies to protect itself. A few days ago, it was Venezuela. Today, it's Iran. My question is, why do we have to live in fear? Full support for the AES. Buongiorno, my friend. So Didier Alou, he is asking, is it possible for the AES to protect itself from these external aggressions? How can the AES further strengthen its protection?
The process of significantly strengthening protection within the AES involves a heightened sense of constant vigilance, extensive intelligence sharing, and substantially reinforcing security controls at the external borders of the area. But it also requires the active and essential cooperation of the local population.
No, but when he talks about protection, it's in relation to the events in Venezuela and Iran. You don't protect yourself from these aggressions by monitoring the borders.
No, nothing can stand in the way of a people who are determined. That needs to be said. Now, within the systems, we need to work on eliminating the moles. Because what happened in Venezuela, as we understood later, was because there were traitors inside Maduro's system. And that is the deeply complex and fundamental challenge for effectively monitoring and overseeing those who hold positions of power as well. Because while collaborative partnerships can often function quite effectively and the general population is fully aware, when it comes to the threat of internal moles, you can never truly consider yourself to be completely safe or secure. So you always have to stay vigilant.
Excellent.
No, for me, I believe that the AES countries are fully aware of all the possible and impossible threats that await them. So in addition to what they are already doing themselves, they are signing defense agreements, notably with Russia. So if Russia is there, if other countries are there, it's difficult to attack. Because the mistake of those who might attack the Sahel countries is that they have their proxies nearby. So if you attack me, I attack you. Did you see what Iran is doing? How it's distributing bombs in all the Gulf countries? That's how it is. When you attack, know that your friends are nearby and they will become victims too.
Hello to the studio, our respects to your channel for your efforts. Greetings to Baobab, the ambassador, to you Gilles and to Didier Alou. I am very impressed by the traditional outfits on the set in any case. Thank you. Mine is a gift from a fellow citizen of the AES from Ouagadougou. Thank you. I greet him as well, Felipe. Thank you. We have different approaches when it comes to the development of the three countries. We call on the leaders of the countries to replicate at home the good examples from each other. The example of what is happening in Burkina, the Faso, which should be institutionalized in the other countries. Thank you for everything you are doing for Africa. Can't the authorities of the Sahel establish a partnership with your channel? There is no shame in replicating what works well elsewhere, especially with New World TV. This is Mahamane Mbaraku from Bamako, Mali, Excellency.
Yes, but why not? A good partnership with the Sahel countries would be welcome with the entire New World channel. So New World is not a closed sect, it's an open television station. It is as open as our opinions are here. So it's a good idea, and let's hope it will be successful among those eligible for census in the Sahel.
Didier?
Yes, I agree. We need to strengthen the work that is already being done internally and to build much more profound and lasting partnerships to ensure the provision of all essential resources and support, to continue strengthening and expanding this vital awareness-raising initiative that we are currently doing at New World.
In any case, contacts are underway. We are only asking for openness from the AES authorities to make these various collaborations a reality. In fact, with Mali, which has agreed to receive the package. New World, the very first African country, has agreed to receive New World. That's why we have set up an annex dedicated to the distribution of the packages. Contacts are also progressing in other countries. We believe that these things will materialize in the coming months, days, and years. He also mentioned the Faso experience. He thinks that other countries should use these experiences and replicate them at home, do benchmarking. Personally, I think he's absolutely right.
Yes, absolutely. It's important, it contributes to local consumption. I know that in Niger and even in Mali, there are these traditional clothes and even these cultural and traditional identities. But I think we need to go deeper, not just in the Sahel, but in all African countries that need it.
Hello, Papa, Sagoyu, Koku, Kegewe, Didier, Nuruddin, Lou, all well dressed. as well as the journalist Gilles Mawe Namboko, also dressed in traditional AES attire. This is from Burkina. I think it's handmade here. By the way, very well done. AES is definitely making progress. Too bad for the phantom organizations. You know who I mean? I can't see your reaction, actually. We're just waiting for the federation, period. This is Mr. Koto Ogu from Benin, reporting from Boaké. In Côte d'Ivoire, a message from Burkina. Hello.
This is a question that comes up often, the Federation of States. For now, the 3 states are operating in a confederal spirit. To move toward a federation, it takes time. We need to let the countries first experiment with what they are currently doing, and the federation will come about quite naturally.
Hello, Plato. Glad to see you again as every Sunday, and congratulations on your African-style outfits. Instead of jackets, among other things, in my opinion, the currency will come this year, barring any major incident, which we do not wish for. Have a great show. These are greetings from Bobo Dioulasso. He was optimistic about the currency.
Yes, the currency will come. It's like the black albino. We're still looking for it. So what has been promised will come. We just don't want to risk giving any deadlines, that's all.
Arthur Hudraugo aus Hamburg. Germany, hello, the best West African panel. My greetings go directly to the best journalist and moderator, Gilles Boucault. Thank you. To brother Didier Nouridine, and not forgetting the Baobab. Papa Disgoyo, the Bobab. Everyone calls him Bobab. We won't end up just calling him Bobab.
Everyone living in this area keeps a baobab tree at home, so its reputation is certainly not undeserved.
That's Bobab, a fetish.
Of course, of course.
The Baobab.
We need to drop this canal story. I'm talking about the baobab, which is often a fetish, and at least 80% of the people from here have one. And
in particular, it's not something to be ashamed of.
I think we should talk about it, and talk about it with pride.
Once again, the conscious African youth, thank you greatly for your media commitment and for raising awareness for Africa. Thanks also to the President of the Togo Council for his support to the AES countries, and of course for the opportunity given to New World. I sincerely hope to see Togo officially join the Confederation as part of the AES roadmap. I think it is on a very promising path given the progress currently being consolidated. This year will be decisive on all fronts. Courage to our leaders, to the Chinese people, resilient from the AES, but also to all African peoples who refuse the domination of imperialism and neocolonialism. Okay, Sunday, Chenes, Sonntag und Dankeschön.
Bitte sehr.
Yes, yes. On Wedraugo aus Hamburg. Hello, Gilles, the best presenter we support. Thank you for the compliment. Hello to the 2 great panelists who bring us insight by analyzing the topics every Sunday. Current events from around the world, and especially the AES. God bless Nihon TV, the best channel. If there is a national from the AES from Congo-Brazzaville. A message from Europe now, it's either France or Belgium. Mbote, Gilles, as well as the whole New World TV team. We don't always get what we want. The baobab that never moves, always loyal at his post. That's the great Didier, of course, always present. In Africa, only the AES is truly at work. He doesn't impress us. The structuring of its organization, the establishment of new skills, and a clear determination to build differently. Meanwhile, elsewhere, it sometimes feels like the program boils down to a sad duo. Very democratic elections, embezzlement of funds, and repression. It is, however, regrettable to see the rest of the states, especially those living in peace, dragging their feet when they should be standing with their people and putting in place a real roadmap. For endogenous, strong, and ambitious development, we are no less intelligent than others.
But of course, when you look at the elections that have taken place recently in some ECOWAS countries and others that are not preparing, it is simply unfortunate, and there are reasons to be sad. These are not really the democratic elections that the local citizens had long wanted.
In any case, in ECOWAS today, if there is an election, I mean a real election, I'm not talking about the appointment project prepared for the signature of someone everyone knows. If there is an election and a candidate claims to be from the AES, that candidate, even if it's a toad, will win the election.
Hello, Jills, LK, and my dad. Greetings to Kaka. The outfits are beautiful with both hats, but you have to pay a fine to my dad. You're the one always wearing the hats from now on. I'm going to investigate the prices of my dad's hats. I promise you that by Sunday he'll have his hat.
No, it is not that. It is just that my head has much more ordinary and common measurements. So, in order to find a suitable hat that fits well, you really have to get up quite early in the morning.
We'll get one.
Tailor-made, especially. Expanded by the heat. So you find elastic hats. This is simply the way you choose to greet people.
Or from a newspaper. Auntie also has Czech Sangare, a Malian from Italy.
Okay, a message from I have now. Hello, Gilles. Good evening to the guests of this Sunday, March 1st, 2026, which is no coincidence. In my opinion, Mars is the place of war according to a certain belief. I think that for the second year of the AES must intensify its preparation for high-intensity direct warfare against the imperialist West, which will no doubt not give in without playing its last card, which is to come back. With its army to reconquer Africa, we must be ready to welcome them. I repeat, we must be ready to welcome them. This is Ibrahim Ali Rabo from Gaia in Niger.
In the Dendi.
In the West, people copy and paste from each other in infrastructure, services, industry, and so on. And you find the same standards from Italy, in Belgium, from Austria, in Switzerland. I recently returned from Rwanda, and an agent explained to me that Rwandans are replicating at home what they have seen in Europe. The AES countries must copy each other in every field. Fraternal greetings from Germany. This is Clesso Antoine Baluki. A shout out to Clesso in Germany. Now let's continue. Our message, hello Gilles, hello to the panel. It seems that our dear Dean Ambassador's head can't stand hats. Regarding today's topic, in 1985, Edem Kojo, the former Secretary General of the UN, no, of the OAU, may he rest in peace, wrote a major book entitled And Tomorrow, Africa. I bet this book greatly inspires the leaders of the AES. I would have loved to recommend it to all African youth. Have a great show. This is Maglibe Machaton from Sanda, Afo.
No African youth don't like to read. It's a tragedy. It must be said, it's a real tragedy. Africans don't like to read, and young people even less so. Today, with WhatsApp, TikTok, and all that, people can't sit down and read. 3, 4, 5 pages at a time in a book. We don't like to read. It's a real tragedy.
And that's what led someone to even say that if you want to hide something from an African, you should put it in a book. Because we're almost the ones who wouldn't read it.
Ah, yes, but if we can't read, there are audiobooks now.
Yes, but even then, when young people are on the internet, you know very well.
Hello to the champions panel, Dr. Gilles Papa, Ambassador, and your co-debater. Do everything possible to ask all the presidents, all the ministers, in short, all the leaders of the AES to do everything possible to follow the New World Forum. Second recommendation, do everything possible to increase the purchasing power of civil servants while focusing on social initiatives. This is Josue Taz in Bakwasi, which is in the north of Togo. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Generally, I know that in Sahel countries, many people, they watch New World television, they follow our program. It's true, you can't expect a head of state to sit down on a Sunday and watch TV, but he has press services, information services, and if there's something important, it will be passed on to him. Otherwise, the ministers, the general directors, the officers, they listen with pleasure. And we too, when we get feedback from these listeners, it strengthens us, it encourages us.
This viewer, it's not today's topic, but he would like to have your opinion.
Thank you so much, families, for listening up to this stage. If you are new here, my name is Mamri, and you are very welcome. And also, I've translated this video, work on it before sharing it to those of us who do not understand French, but want to know what is going on. Mainly, I take some of the debate from this channel so we can learn more, or I can learn more. But if you are like me and you want to learn more, then you are at the right place. at the right time. I'm so grateful for your time. If you have taken anything from this debate, please leave comment. Let us learn from you. I've left the rest there. I don't want it to be too long. It's about 20 or 30 minutes left, but you can have an idea of what they are debating about and the questions, some questions that you have in mind as well. Maybe they will share that one as well. If not, leave comment and let others answer you or learn from you. Thank you so much. I will not waste more of your time. Credit once again to the New World TV for what they are doing to create awareness. And yes, I'll be happy for them to join the AES to be debating more or put resources together. So instead of doing this debate every week, they should be doing it like every night to create more awareness, because they are trusted. When they are doing their life on Sundays, it's packed. So yes, they should continue, even though Burkina Faso has launched their own communication platform. The more, the better. Yes. Thank you, families. I will leave you here. Have a great night, great morning, great day, and I will see you soon. God bless you all. My members, thank you. My new and my old members, thank you so much. My returning families, thank you. And those who are passing by, I'm so grateful you stay with me up to this stage. And I hope you have learned one or two things from our brothers. Credit to them. They are doing great job there. May God continue to strengthen them, give them wisdom, bless them more. So every week we will see them doing what they can to support the AES, the light that is shining in Africa. Now they are the serious people that we need to look up to, and we are doing just that, supporting them at all costs, at anyhow. We are supporting them, if I'm making sense. Thank you. Thank you. I will leave you here. God bless you all. Credit to all of them. I'm proud of them for doing what they are doing. See you soon. Bye-bye for now.